Hey miners, today we're going to be installing Flux on our VM, so that way we can start our node. But before we get into that, here's a word from our sponsor. Today, FluxPools.net would like to announce a miner appreciation program where they will be giving one lucky miner $1,000 in Flux every month for the next 12 months. Flux Labs is operated by the people from the Flux team, and their main goal is to provide a safe and transparent mining experience. While the Flux project does not take directly from the pool, FluxPools.net does give a portion of their fees back to the Flux project because they understand that both the project and the miners are what make this pool possible. Entering the $1,000 monthly giveaway is easy, and here's how. Mine at the pool and maintain at least a 90% uptime for the first month and 95% uptime for the following months over the next 30-day period with at least one GPU. Yep, that's it. The giveaway prize will be sent directly to the mining address and nowhere else, so please do not mine directly to an exchange. Rewards may be lost as a result. This is all on top of their normal weekly loyalty program, and starting on August 19th, all the parallel asset fees will be cut in half. So please check out fluxpools.net for a great place to mine. Alright guys, we're back, and before we get into this video, I just want to go over a few, I guess you say disclaimers. So number one is with these Flux nodes, depending upon your router, I think I've already gone over this before, but you may need to, enable UPnP. You may have to make a DMZ and put the node over and put your Unraid server over there. It's going to depend on your router and that kind of a situation. If you're using an ISP provided router, you're going to have a very hard time because usually the routing features on the internet service provider routers, the ones you get from like Comcast and stuff like that, are very limited in what they can do. I have an aftermarket router, so I'm like free to do pretty much whatever I want, and it has a lot more features and it's easier to control. So just keep that in mind when you do start doing this, that you could run into firewall or port forwarding issues. By no means am I a network guy. I am terrible at networking. So just that may be one issue that you may run into. Now, before you even start trying to follow this video, if you have not locked up your 1,000 Flux, and what you need to do is have another Flux wallet, and you need to send, or you can use the same wallet you mine to, whatever, but you need to at least keep 1,000 Flux in it, because if you remove the 1,000, it will delete the node. You need to because you could just transfer the 1,000 back into the wallet, and don't account for any transaction fees. It needs to be 1,000 even. It will automatically not charge you a transaction fee, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's get in. So the first thing you need to do is you need to send yourself 1,000 Flux, either to your same wallet you're mining or a new one. As soon as you do that, you will then have 100 confirmations. You need to wait 100 confirmations before you can start your node, which that means is 100 blocks, right? And each block is about 2 minutes, so that's 200 minutes. So you're looking at a little over 3 hours before you could start your node. So I suggest you go lock up your Flux. Now, sometimes, and here's another disclaimer, this is the last disclaimer, sometimes there's errors in the installation, so you may have to restart your Flux OS install if you're having issues. You may have to reinstall the Docker, or you may have to reinstall Flux OS. I've had to do that myself. Be patient. If things don't work out, just do another fresh install, right? Let's get into the actual video here. So let me get into my Zelcore, and I'll show you what it looks like and how you get to your node page to begin with. Okay, now I am gonna blur some things, maybe some values and stuff like that. So some of this stuff is gonna be blurred because I just don't want you guys having that kind of information. I essentially I have another wallet that's just called nodes, right? And that's where I keep my Flux for my nodes. So first off, you need to decide where your wallet's going to be. I rename this nodes, so if I'm going to receive it here, I need to come over here, click on the Flux symbol, click receive, and click on the QR code, right? Now we're going to go back over to my mining section, which is all the Flux I've been mining, right? So I have almost 1,200 Flux. So now you're going to click on this. You're going to click send. and then you're going to do 1,000 flux even. Don't worry about the transaction fees. You don't have to worry about any of that, right? And up here, we're going to right click, and then it's going to paste it in. So this is the address it's going to go to, and we're going to click send. It says, oh, do you want to proceed with this? You're going to click yes. Okay, it's going to show you in the Explorer that it was sent. Now what we need to do is, and it might take a second or two, 2 minutes or whatever. We need to come over to apps, and then we need to come over to Flux nodes. So this is inside of Zelcore. This is where you're going to be doing a lot of stuff with your Flux node. This is where you find it, is in the app section, and then you're going to click nodes. So now it's added one Flux node to my Flux nodes, right? Because this one's not named yet. It'll be right here. It'll be blank. The next thing we need to get is we need to actually be able to communicate in our VM. Now, usually you would do that, right, by going over here and going to your VNC, right, and doing a remote in. We're actually not going to do that because we want to be able to copy and paste the bash command, because in VNC you can't copy and paste. So we're going to use a program called Putty, which lets you remote in from your Windows computer over to your Flux node. And you see putty.org. We're going to click download Putty. And then you're going to come over here and do this mirror right here, the 64x86. I mean, pretty much everybody's on 64-bit. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be, but... Okay, now you will want to install this. I already have Putty, so I don't need to install it, right? But you will need to install Putty. It's just a typical Windows program. I don't believe I need to do this step by step because I've already have it. So it's just going to be a really straightforward installation, right? You install Putty. Use Putty to remote in to our VM. So I'm going to open Putty. So this is going to be your Putty. We need to get the IP address for our Flux node number 3. So just give me 1 second and I will show you how to get that. Okay, so to find your information, to be able to find your IP that this particular node is on, right? Because we have several. This is on my actual Unraid server for me. Since I'm doing this and I'm making a node, I need to make it for myself. I might as well just do it with you guys, kind of. We have this up now, and now we need to, you're going to click on your VM, and you're going to VNC remote in. You made a username and a password, right? Whatever you made that username and password is what you're going to use to log in to your VM, right? And then about halfway down the middle, you will see the IPv4 address, which is 192.168.50.21. That's a local IP address only to me, so it's okay to show that, right? This is an easy way to find your IP address for your node. We can bring Putty back in, and then we're going to call it node 3. And so now when you type this IP address in, you can click save. And what will happen is anytime you need to log into one of these nodes, you don't have to go chasing it around and looking for the IP address, right? You just type in the IP address, give it a name, and then click save, and then it'll be here for next time that maybe you need to do something to one of the nodes, right? So we're going to go into number 3 here. It may prompt you for something. If it does, go ahead and just accept. Okay. You will then need to use your login again, just like you did in your VNC. Now that we're here on our node, I'm going to paste in the description a bash command, which you will need to use this command. It's like the Multitoolbox for Flux, and you'll see what it is here in a minute. As well as I will leave a link down below. I'm assuming at this point I don't need to do it for Zelcore because you guys should have a Zelcore wallet. I will leave a link down below for Putty, so you guys could use this to remote in. And once again, we're only using this so this way we can copy and paste the bash command, because it is a very, very long command and it would suck to type it. Once again, though, huge shout out to Tanes and Max. These guys have really helped me, as well as Matt Electron. So we're to copy and paste. So what you do is you just highlight the command and then copy it, and then to paste inside a Putty, we are just going to right click, and that's it. And then you see this long command right here, right? And then we're just going to hit. Okay, so it may prompt you again to enter your password in. Not a big deal. It's the same password as your username. So this page here is going to be the Multitoolbox. This is what we're going to use to install our Flux OS. The first thing, there are a few things on here, but essentially you really only need two things if you're going to run one node, and then there's a third step, like a third thing you need to do if you're going to run multiple nodes, right? So the first thing we need to do is install the Docker. So we're going to press 1 and then enter. So then you're going to be prompted with this. Right now I am currently logged in as my username and not the root. So we're going to type sudo, because this will happen to everybody, sudo su space dash. And now we're logged in as root. So then we're going to right click and do the bash command again. We're going to hit 1 again. Okay, and now you're going to do like your username and stuff like that. So once I type mine in, I'm going to blur it. Make sure to use the same user as what the VM or node is. Once again, guys, if you guys haven't locked up your 1000 Flux, please do so right now. We've already started this video. You guys should have already locked it up already. So after the Docker is done being installed, it's going to ask, would you like to switch to user account? And you're going to hit Y, and then it'll automatically do it. You don't have to hit enter. So now we're going to just right click again on the screen and have the bash command and hit enter. Now we're going to actually install the node. So we've already installed the Docker. Now we're doing number 2, which is the Flux node. All right, so this is where the personal information is gonna really come into effect here, okay, guys? And I'm gonna have to blur out stuff, but you're gonna have to find it a little bit on your own. I'm gonna do as much as I can, but once again, I do have to blur a lot of this, so that way you don't mess with my nodes, okay? So you're gonna be messing with both of these at the same time, essentially, right? We have our Putty over here behind us and our Zelcore, okay? So it's asking you for your identity key, which you can find back over here in the node section of Zelcore. What you need to do is you need to come over here and click edit. And now this is where I'm going to blur, because it has my identity key, collateral key, and my address, right? So right now it's going to be blurred, but when you do see this window pop up, it'll have it in this order. It'll have you could redo the name, and you'll set the IP address eventually, right? But for right now, you have down below that, you have the identity key, collateral TX ID, output index, and then that's the bottom part's just the wallet address, which you don't need. So the first thing is we need the identity key. All you have to do is just click on it, and then it copies it. Come over here back to our Putty screen, and we're going to right click and then hit OK. Now it wants to know our collateral ID, because essentially what this is doing is it's tying this VM or node to this particular 1000 Flux that was locked up. This way it knows which one is which. So then you just come back over here and click on your collateral TX ID. You just right click over here. And this is why we're using Putty to copy and paste, because there's capital letters and numbers and stuff. This would suck to have to manually enter this in. And then you just need to glance at your output. It's either 0. So then once you have that, you hit enter, and then it'll continue the installation. Now you need to get your Zel ID, and then you'll see Zel ID. You click on Zel ID, and then all you need to do is click on the QR code that's in the middle of the screen, and then it will copy it, and then you right click to paste to your Putty. Okay, now I suggest, you don't have to do this, but it'd be good practice, is in your portfolio, if you click here to show 0 balances, right? There's other tokens you can have here, and I made a Flux KDA token. This is not directly KDA. This is the parallel asset of KDA, the Flux KDA token, right? So this way you can receive parallel assets in KDA. So we're just going to copy this address. You can make a wallet really quick. It only takes a few minutes. If you want to make one, all you have to do is click Manage Assets, Add Asset, and then you can just type in Flux. And obviously, I already have all the other ones, right? I already have KDA, but you would essentially find that KDA one there. And then you would just click on the QR code, and then you would right-click here to paste your Cadena address in. Okay. And then after you do that, after all those steps, the installation will resume. So when you get to this screen here, Flux OS installation, download from source, build in script. This is what you want. You want option number 1 and hit enter. And now it's actually going to download the files. Now I've seen this download go really fast. I've seen it go really slow. I have gigabit service, so you can see it right now. It's at 14 megabytes and it's going down. It started off at 25. I think it's just whatever the site you're downloading from particularly is what it's going to do. This could take maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So it's actually downloading the Flux OS. So go ahead, go get something to eat, man. Go get a cup of coffee, whatever, and come back in 20 minutes or so. So this is pretty common as far as what you'll see here is the syncing process. It'll also do the daemon and benchmarks. So this part of the video could take anywhere half an hour to an hour. So just once again, get a cup of coffee, get something to drink, come back and check on it. So this is going to come up when the installation is finished. Now we need to now if you're only running one node, you can skip this step that I'm about to say, because this is going to be for when you're running multiple nodes, right? We're going to do our bash command again. Okay, and now we need to do the very last step, which is number 14. And this is where we're going to do UPnP and do our ports here. That way we can run multiple nodes off the same one, essentially. If you're only running one, you don't, like I said, you don't need to do this step. So you would want to enable UPnP mode, and then you're going to want to pick a port. So you need to be careful if you start running 2, 3, 4, and 5 nodes, right? You need to see which numbers you've used so far. They all start with 161 and end in 7. So like 161, 27, 161, 37. They all end in 7s and start with 161. And then it's going to ask, is this my router's IP address? And, obviously if yours is the same or whatever, hit yes. Give it a few moments. It's going to do benchmarking again. So just go ahead, grab something to drink, come back, check in on it. 15, 20 minutes here and there. And just be patient with it. So we have now finished the UPnP section. You can use this section right here, this IP address, to essentially get into your FluxOS dashboard, right? So don't close the window quite yet. Let's get back into our Zelcore. It's been 103 confirmations now. So let's go ahead, and now you'll have this option down here. So now we can start our node. So let's go ahead and click start. Start the Flux node. And it's successfully started. Now, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily working. What you need to wait for is for it to go from starting to started to confirmed. Once it goes to confirmed, then that means the node is working properly. Alright guys, so I hope this video was informative. I know I had to blur things out and stuff like that. If you guys have questions, please hit me up in Discord. And you could find me in the Misfit Mining section. I have my own section, King's Corner, or you could DM me. I'll try to help you as much as I can. Some of the stuff's is a little more technical than a mining rig, but I'm hoping you guys were able to kind of get the idea of what you need to do. All right, guys, this is the Mining King giving you the most hashes, and I'll see you next time.